Welcome to the show, A Trouble with Words, episode 53, PAX East 2015 edition.
Wow. I can't believe it's time for another PAX. It seems like it came really fast this year.
Seems like it went really fast this year.
Yeah, but it also was like a month earlier than it was the year before.
Yeah.
Shocking. Snowstorm and snowstorm. And then a couple of snowstorms on top of that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tim.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
hey,
you made it.
Tim's here.
Yeah, Tim. Hey, welcome, Tim. Thanks
right.
for being on the show. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
It's not a PAX episode if you're not here.
It's
except
true.
for the time that it was.
Right.
Right. So, I was kind of thinking that we would talk about the only thing that we really did this PAX, which is all the indie games that we checked out and loved, because there were so many of them, and there just really wasn't any, I don't know if you guys agree with this, but there really wasn't any AAA games.
Nope.
Nothing
There was a real lull this year. Like there wasn't anything really on the radar that was coming up. Overwatch really is the
that's
title.
a big game.
Yeah.
I didn't play it. I didn't get in line, so I missed it. Kind of a Team Fortress thing. It looks kind of interesting, but we'll cover that when it comes out, I think. Mm-hmm. There were so many indie games, though, that we can't even cover all of them in the time that we have. So we'll just kind of pick through some of the ones that we love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're seeing a massive kind of influx of local multiplayer games, especially local multiplayer kind of platforming arena type games.
True.
So many games. We only have a couple we're going to talk about, but these are games like Towerfall or Samurai Gun or Brawlhalla or
which are not
Duck Game.
Yeah, or not other games that are bad to be associated with. These are
Yeah.
good things to shoot for if you're trying to recreate them. Yeah, so let's just jump right in, kind of go over some indie games and talk about them. See what we liked. So, kind of on that note, speaking of games like that, Demons and Shotguns was the first game that I maybe played.
With
I'm sorry.
shotguns.
Demons with shotguns.
With shotguns.
With
Right.
shotguns.
They're not just next to each other.
No, the demons are holding the shotguns and using them to shoot each other in the face. And it's kind of fun. It's a little gory. Got a kind of 8-bit, like Towerfall vibe, where you're jumping around in an arena. It's a single screen, so there's no scrolling or anything. And it's fun. It can be very intense. It can be very chaotic, which I think we learned when we played. It's hard to keep track of where things are, but that might be because we're new.
It's hard to keep track of where you are.
Yeah.
But specifically after you die and respawn in a random location, often I would be dead before I realized, or dead again before I realized where I had respawned.
Yeah, and I did have a few moments where I found myself walking into somebody. Like, we both didn't know where we were. So we were just, walking into each other.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. But, I like that game. That was a lot of fun. I'm excited to play some more of that.
Well, in the same or similar vein, one that we all really liked, Extreme Exorcism.
Yeah.
That was excellent.
Really fun. And the hook there is that in addition to being a kind of a single screen arena where you're all kind of contained in that one area, you're all working together to kill a ghost. And after you kill that ghost and another ghost are on the screen for you to kill. And after you kill that one, those two ghosts and a new one, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But the really neat thing
Yeah.
is that the patterns those ghosts follow on the screen are all based on what you guys are doing.
Every round a new ghost will spawn, and that ghost's movement pattern and behavior and what it fires and all that kind of stuff at you is exactly what the previous round's victor did when they killed the final ghost.
Yeah.
So it keeps using the player ghosts as the ghosts that you're killing.
Right, and they're stuck rewinding or replaying exactly the motions, exactly where they went. So, in a weird way, the previous you could end up killing the current you.
Right.
And that's kind of fun. Yeah, I really liked it a lot. I want to play more of it.
Let's talk mobile. There's a game called Colliding Forces, which is a game kind of like flicking pennies across a table. It's got these little pucks that you play it on like a tablet, probably for enough screen space.
Yeah, we did.
You just kind of pull back and let go, and it'll fling these little pucks across the board, and you're trying to get them into your opponent's goal. But the twist is that these pucks have elements associated with them: earth, fire, wind, and water.
Yep.
And you can take these pucks and upgrade them, like as part of your actions. You have a limited number of things you can do on a turn. One of those things is upgrading the pucks to do different things, like destroying opponents' pucks, or taking control of them, or forcing them away. And when you score with these pucks, like, they do different things depending on what element they are. But there's a lot of strategy just in board positioning, like landing those pucks where you need to block a shot from the opponent, or to get it, set yourself up for the next turn.
And do you choose to use the power to mess them up, or do you choose to use the power to score? You have to score one of each to win the game. So there's a lot of that kind of like choosing where you're going to play it. I think of it's a lot like air hockey, kind of with power-ups. I think is the best way for me to see it. Yeah. But I liked it a lot, and I really, if I had a tablet, I would buy it.
Yeah. And that one's out now, I think, right?
Yeah.
Fighting Forces is on Android and iOS right now.
It's being updated. It'll have online and stuff down the road. Not everything's there feature-wise, the guy said, but
it's local multiplayer
right now only. Yeah, but it was fun, and I liked it a lot.
The other mobile game that I wanted to mention was Loud on Planet X. I think you described it really well.
Plants vs. Zombies with a music element to it.
Yeah.
So the way that you attack there's 4 lanes of incoming enemies, which are these kind of alien creatures, and you attack them by touching each of the lanes to a beat, which is the song that's playing. And man, I don't know, it was very satisfying. I'm not a music game guy. I don't like that at all. I don't even really like tower defense, but those two things came together. That was a chocolate peanut butter situation for me.
It was really fun and really well done, and I think it's iOS only right now, but they did seem to indicate that maybe down the road it would be available for Android, which would be great because then I get to play it.
I wanted to talk a little bit about a game called Valhalla. Just for a moment. This is a game, it's spelled VA11 Hall-A.
That's how I choose to say it.
And it's described as cyberpunk bartender action, a booze 'em up.
Another booze 'em up. Just a long list of... It's a very unique game. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's presented a little bit like a visual novel in its presentation, where you have a character portrait and some text appearing below for dialogue and things, but you don't have... There's no like dialogue tree per se. You're not picking like things to say or responses. You're mixing drinks. And depending on how you mix the drink, it influences the character and their story and who comes to the bar and stuff like that, which just seems like a really interesting way of controlling the story indirectly. It's not like a choose your own adventure where you're picking explicit things.
Well, you don't know what the effect will be necessarily. Right. You may have an idea of that, like
and there were like 6 or 7 ingredients that
they're all made up.
Yeah,
there are all these like made up words,
and there's like a whole. It was actually kind of a neat UI for like the drink recipe index, kind of like what you would see at a bar if you were a bartender who didn't have all the drinks memorized.
And you have the recipes, but you don't have to stick to anything, and that's part of what makes it anything can happen of the gameplay. I played it briefly on the floor, and the example in the demo was a very young, seemingly underage girl came in, but she had an ID, she could prove she was old enough, but you can choose as the bartender, do you trust that or do you not? And so I chose to give her a non-alcoholic version of the drink that she asked for. And she very much knew that and reacted to it, and it clearly led the story. But I could have done any number of things. So I could have given her more alcohol than the normal drink, and who knows what would happen. Yeah,
it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Let's talk about pretty games.
And there were at least 2 games that stood out as really beautiful games this year, just visually stunning. I mean, I'm talking better looking than a lot of the like big budget AAA games.
I played one called Kona, and it's a 70s era mystery exploration game that takes place in, I think, northern Quebec. And the segment that I played was during a really intense snowstorm that looked really awesome. I don't know if the whole game takes place in that snowstorm, but there wasn't much of the mystery in the demo. It was more of just like walking around and trying things out. And it was really cool. Like, you could leave the building and go get in a pickup truck, and the pickup truck looked like one from the 70s, and I immediately drove it into a snowbank. I found another cabin, and I went in and started a fire, and that whole process was really cool.
Like
And
just like took out a lighter and found some curtains and
yeah,
just like went crazy.
I found a log and put it in the fire, and I found some newspaper and
Oh, that's
put it
cool.
in the fire, and
Nice.
I had a lighter, and then I wandered off into the woods, and the developer told me I was going to freeze to death and die. But it just looked really great, and it sounds like it's going to be a really, like, there's nothing telling you where you have to go. You have to
that's fun.
figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a bold move for a game developer to do, but it can be so rewarding when it works right, when you do figure it out. I do love that. I wish I had seen more of you play that one, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of the other game that is also a first-person game.
Homesick.
Homesick.
An exploration mystery puzzle game.
Yeah. I mean, all I know about this game is that, and I played it briefly on the floor, is that it's stunning. It's so beautiful.
So pretty.
And
Like the environmental art is really, really
Yeah.
pretty. It looks like a decrepit, decaying apartment complex. Like if you've ever seen photos of Pripyat, the city next to Chernobyl, that's just been
Yeah,
abandoned
that
for
kind of-
30 years. Like you see a shot of a swimming pool with tiles falling out and stuff like that. Like that's what this kind of looks like. Like you have this absence of human presence for a very long period of time, and things have started to just decay.
Yeah.
And it's really credible. Like
when you wake up in a room with concrete in a bed, and there's as much grass on the ground near an opening in the wall as there is cement around it, and it's just stunning. And I got pulled into this game just by walking by it and seeing it on a television screen.
Yeah.
But it's a puzzle game too, right? So there's all these,
Yeah.
like, you find things and you decode these puzzles, weird text on pieces of paper. It's kind of odd. And there are some weird elements that happen,
there's some surreal stuff.
but I think that you'll be able to... I'm worried about Justin being too afraid. I know it kind of resembles the kind of game that that can scare you.
Such haunting games as Gone Home.
I'm telling you, that scene in the crawl space with the cross, that was scary as hell.
Yeah, terrifying.
So related to those games, another one that I know Josh isn't super keen on it, but there's a game called White Knight that really caught my eye, and I thought it was also beautiful in a slightly different way. It's a very stark contrast appearance game. It's kind of a mystery puzzle, I think. Kind of a third person. You've got a detective in a trench coat with a fedora. In this very stark, high contrast environment, everything is black or it's white or it's lines. Very almost like a black and white graphic novel. Appearance.
Yeah, there's only like dark black and dark, like very contrasted
Dark
white, like as dark a white as you can get. Very black, very white, and they do a lot of playing with light, which is really interesting.
Yeah. So you always have to have some kind of a light source, like a lighter or matches or something, in order to see the areas around you, and it'll kind of like light up and flicker. And that's you need to light things so you can see them and interact with them and get bits of story out of them and move around in the environment. I was talking with the developer or the creative director, and he was saying that they were very much influenced by cinema, especially things like he referenced Nosferatu in particular, an old black and white vampire movie. Just a really interesting looking game and feeling game, and every time you like kind of walk into a new room, it really looks like a page from a comic or a frame from a comic. Like it has this. It's well shot, I guess.
Yeah, I've seen some things that have been about this game that have not been, to be honest with you, maybe the most positive. It's gotten some bad reviews. It's out.
Really?
It's out right now, and
That's too bad because it auditions beautifully in like a show setting.
well, that's the thing. And it also, like, when you just see footage of
Yeah.
it, it looks incredible. Like, I mean, not just on a show floor, but it looks great. So I hope that that's not true. I haven't played it. I'm reserving judgment. Again, that game is White Knight, although night as in like day and night.
The next one, one that I wanted to talk about was
Yuck.
Y2K.
Yuck.
Right. So they wrote the
reading it
two.
wrong.
They wrote the two, the
Yuck.
stylized two in Y2K as II. So if you're reading it, it looks kind of like Yak or Yik, but it's Y2K. Postmodern RPG. It's done in the style of a JRPG for the most part. Like you run around in a third-person kind of environment, and you have encounters where the enemies stand opposed to
Right.
each other, and you select attacks and engage things. I saw this first a year ago at PAX, actually, when they were about 2 months in development. They had the booth across from us last year.
And can I just say, it
Yeah.
stands out. Like when you see it because of the people that are like the lead characters and stuff.
It's
There's
very
something
colorful.
it's colorful, but it's also a unique choice as far as design goes. Because, like for instance, the guy that they show a lot, and I think you play multiple characters possibly in the game, as you build a party and things, but is a guy with a a beard and a plaid shirt and jeans, and I don't know, it just doesn't look like anything you've seen really as a main video game character. That was enough to draw me in last year. This year it's changed a lot. I don't know if
Yeah, I mean, it's a
improved.
low
It's
poly,
gotten better.
flat shaded kind of look
Yeah.
to it, and one of the most interesting things to me, at least, is that the characters, like the character of the characters, influences the kind of attacks and interactions they have in battles.
Right.
So, like this guy, the guy with the glasses, is music buff. And so when he's in battle, like a lot of his attacks are based on like the artifacts of music. They might be like making slashes with LPs, with records, or stuff like that's built into his character. There's another character, a woman who plays guitar, and so her attacks are kind of musical, like she's playing tunes. At least last year, I didn't see that the characters in the current version, but last year there was a character who was a photographer, and so one of his attacks is like this burst frame, taking photos with the flash strobing. And the mechanic is like, once you engage that attack, then you have to like pound the button to take as many photos as you can in the window to deal more damage.
Yeah.
So all of these things are like play into the character themselves. It's not just like they're equipped with a sword or something. And,
Right, yeah. And they're each very unique from
Yeah.
the other one before it. So that's kind of a great mechanic about it, I think.
Yeah. I played through the
You
demo
have?
last year. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And last year, like it was okay. It just needed kind of more. And it looks like they've put more in it. Like
Awesome.
last year, like my biggest complaint was that the battles felt kind of samey.
Yeah.
And at least it seems now that they've added a lot more to the game besides just the battles.
I don't know if this is a part of it or not, but I think it's worth talking about because it's something that's sort of unique to the PAX experience. The developers of these games are here. They're on the floor, the show floor, and they are talking to people one-on-one. They're getting direct feedback from the people that have played their games. You could have gone up to them a year ago and said, your battles feel kind of samey. Otherwise, I really love the art. You're doing a great job. Keep doing this. Maybe do this. And you may see those changes the next year. And it could have been partly because you said that. It's crazy. But that's one of the also incredible things about indie games is the connection you get to have. That direct connection with the people making them that you just you don't have that otherwise. So
And more so for the indie games. Like the AAA studios they keep their developers in their sweatshop and they send out like the people who are better at talking to deal with the crowd.
I know that we have probably a few more games. I know that one of the games that I really wanted to talk about, and there's a few games I played that had the Oculus Rift, but I just wanted to kind of jump in and bring one up that I didn't get a chance to play, but I'm very interested in it because of the idea is just so... I don't know, it's just one of those ideas that you're like, yes, that's amazing. That needed to happen and somebody did it. And it's an Oculus Rift game, which is that kind of VR helmet that you can wear that kind of puts you in the environment. But this is a 2-player game that does something different. So the game is called Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. So pretty much the perfect name already. We're off to a good start. I don't know much about it except for what I've heard. I'll say, Justin, are you familiar with kind of the basic idea of how it works?
Yeah. So one person wears the Oculus and they can see a bomb, and they have to kind of describe it to their partner who is not in the VR. They have a manual of all kinds of different bombs with instructions for how to defuse those bombs. So they have to figure out which bomb their partner is looking at and then step them through defusing it.
See, that's crazy. So all they have to go by is what the person is telling them. They can't see what they're seeing. From their perspective, they're in a room, there's a bomb. They have to look at it and be like, so this bomb there's like 2 dials to the left, there's a light up here, and then they have to look through a literal... It sounds like you're saying that there's a physical manual.
Yeah. And if you're not familiar, the Oculus Rift is a virtual reality headset. It's completely immersive. You strap it to your face and you're sealed off from the outside world. So when you're in this game, when the person who's got the thing strapped to their face is in this game, they're seeing... Their world is this room with a physical bomb in it that they're rotating around looking at. and the person outside, the person next to them, is not part of that world at all. It's almost like they're on the phone together or something. Yeah, and then there's another title that I was pretty excited about because I kickstarted it. I backed it on its campaign. So Star Mazer is a combination adventure game and shoot 'em up, like a side-scrolling shooter like Life Force or
like R-Type or
Gradius.
yeah, exactly.
Those
Yeah,
old-
R-Type,
yeah.
Gradius,
Right.
all like those. And you kind of do part-time in the adventure side, moving around and going through dialogue and stuff like that, and part-time in the shoot 'em up world where you're fighting boss ships and kind of some bullet hell elements and stuff like that.
What's the human world side like?
I think it's like Monkey Island or something. Like
Like a point-and-click adventure?
Yeah, point and
That's
click
kind of cool.
adventure. Yeah.
Okay.
It looks fantastic for one thing. Like it has a pixel art style to it, and the artist that they have is really talented. Just every part of it looks fantastic. And their Kickstarter page in particular, like they really employed that artist. They brought him in to do like animated portions for even the mundane stuff, like showing the breakdown of where the money is going to go from the Kickstarter. Like this is like a pie chart with like animated selections and a character commenting on them like as they're selected.
Okay.
Like, hey, do we really need that much for art? Yeah. Like
So he was working for his paycheck before they could give him one.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's awesome.
The game is really pretty.
Yeah.
I don't really care for the shoot 'em up style. That's not really my forte.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, mine either.
But I really enjoy the adventure side of it, and I think maybe just being able to switch back and forth between the two might make the the shoot 'em up part less stressful for me.
Yeah, the developer said the player was kind of in control of how much time they spend in each. Like you have the option to kind of pop out back to the adventure or pop into the. I don't know how it's going to be pulled off, but yeah.
Well, and one of my biggest problems with the shooter kind of games is the disconnect from the world of the mattering, and if there's a way to like essentially have that, I might like those games more.
Yeah.
I'm curious about it. I definitely want to try it.
Could be awesome.
Yeah.
And the last game on our list that we wanted to talk about is a game from a company called The Stork Burnt Down. I don't know. We don't know what that means, but that's their name, The Stork Burnt Down. I think you said it was a result of a recent game jam.
I think it came out of Global Game Jam this year.
Man, game jams are so awesome.
So awesome.
I mean, just real quick, if you don't know what a game jam is, it's like a really short kind of, I don't know what to call it. I mean, you've done them, so you can explain it better. But it's a short set time limit where people get together and they make a game in that limit as fast as they can. And different people have strengths. They all work together as a team. Like, so in 48 hours, someone may have made a game that turned into a game that will be, well, like sold like this, which is
Surgeon Simulator, for example.
Yeah.
That was a Global Game Jam title.
and a well-known one too.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just a really cool thing that I love that exists.
But this one is called Home Improvisation, and you are basically assembling IKEA furniture.
Which sounds like a nightmare.
They have no official connection with IKEA.
Yeah.
It's not really IKEA, but I mean their logo looks like the IKEA logo.
It does.
But a box of furniture is delivered into
Like a flat pack.
into the
yeah.
game space, and you get a brief look at what the finished product is supposed to look like.
Because of a picture on the box.
Yeah, and then the box opens, and you never see that picture again, and you just have pieces that you need to figure out how they go together with no other instructions.
So like we did we played it together on the
Yeah.
floor, and we built a couple of different things. We started with a lamp, I think was the first thing,
You
right?
built a lamp?
We built a lamp.
Like out of wood?
Yeah. Right?
Well, it was like
I mean, it's pieces.
It was like a base piece, and then two like rods, and then some like connecting rods, and then some sconces.
It was a lamp like a coat rack, but like with lights on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So
But it was
it's more-
cool.
It's not just two pieces. It's not just like...
We put a lampshade on it. We built a lamp. No, it was- yeah, but it was cool, and we did it. We were the only ones.
Before that, though, we did a simple like a 5-piece like a coffee table.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Which was like 4 legs and a base, basically.
Yeah, it was kind of the training level.
That one was the hardest, but we did it, and we did a couple more. And there were some people. I mean, you don't have to follow the rules, which is kind of what makes this game great.
You could make like a lamp table.
You could. You can combine pieces from multiple things, and
You can basically anywhere there's a screw that goes into a hole, you can make that work.
it'll connect. The game will let you connect the pieces.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know there's that was a game that was hard to walk away from because
Yeah.
I knew I could have a lot more fun
I
with it. And
really
that's
liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good sign, I think. Yeah, kind of a high point in some ways for me because I didn't even heard about that. I didn't even know that it existed.
I'd heard about it and I watched a video of people playing and thought,
Oh.
that looks interesting but really, really strange. And then I was excited to see it here. I didn't
Yeah.
know it was going to be here. And after playing it, I may go buy a copy tonight just so I can play it some more. Each individual piece,
But I
you
thought
know,
it was-
you have to pick it up and rotate it on an
Yeah.
axis and turn it on an axis and then get it connected into the right, you know, other piece that it needs
Exactly.
to connect to.
But it's pretty forgiving, and it will give you a little, like, you know, dotted line that will let you know if you let go of it, it will make the connection for
Yeah.
you. Anyway, ton of fun.
It's
and
really
it was
fun.
Awesome to see.
Yeah.
And I feel like
Home improvisation.
home
Yeah.
improvisation, yeah. I feel like that's all of the PAX we have to discuss this year. We did a lot of things. Most of it, though, honestly, was looking at these indie games, and aside from, you know, kind of a whole adventure where we tried to get a copy of XCOM, the board game, we didn't spend much time in the board game area, really. I mean, we looked at stuff, but we didn't really play anything.
Let me just say, if you were in a place like this and you see something you want on Friday, no matter how much you don't want to carry it around for the rest of the day, don't think, oh, I'll come back for this later. If it's there and you're there, buy it.
Things may sell out. But check with Justin first and see if he wants it. Then after he's bought it, it's okay to buy a copy.
Yeah.
all I'm
Only
saying.
the popular stuff sells out.
Right. That's all you gotta. Just buy unpopular stuff and
Right.
you'll be golden.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on PAX? Just overall, what did you think this year? Aside from all the weather.
So, so I'm down in Kentucky, and we got 2 snowfalls of a foot or more of snow within a 2-week period, which doesn't happen there.
Yeah, that's the South.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not
it's-
really known for its snow.
No, and so the last of those snowfalls was the night before I was supposed to come down here, like to hang out with you guys,
Yeah.
and so all of my flights were completely messed up. They were canceled and rebooked and canceled and rebooked, and so I didn't actually get here until most of the way, dinner time through the first day of PAX.
Yeah. Which
And-
means PAX was over. Primarily, that first day of PAX was over by the time
Pretty
you got
much,
here.
yeah.
The thing is, though, the thing that makes that even trickier, and Justin will attest to this, is that you had our badges.
Yeah,
The thing that lets us get into PAX.
right.
Yeah.
So we were in Boston in a hotel room, knowing that we couldn't go to the convention center, which is like 2 miles away.
So there was no getting anything out of the state that day.
So we kind of accepted more or less that we were we weren't gonna be able to go to PAX without Tim. We were gonna have to wait till he was there. Not that we would have ever gone without you otherwise.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. We did go without you because somehow, and this is crazy, I just want to really give a shout out to PAX themselves. They just did an amazing thing. We reached out to them. They got us all new badges for the day. We were covered. We were able to go to the show after all. And so just thank you, PAX, for handling that very well. It was pretty classy, and you did not have to do that. So I'm really thankful. And I know that Justin is thankful as well. And Tim,
Yes.
I'm also thankful because
Yeah, it got me out of a jam.
yeah. Anyway, it was awesome. So thank you. And that, I think, is the end of our PAX episode.
Yes, it is.
Agreed?
One more in the bag.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone, again for tuning in. And
You guys have the best listeners.
right?
Yeah.
I keep saying that to them.
Yeah.
Thanks again. See you next time.
Goodbye.
Punching out.
Wait, what?